Did you know you can control your Tesla using the new action button on the iPhone 15 Pro? It's pretty cool. I have it set to lock my car and it's super useful. There are a ton of Tesla shortcuts you can set the action button to, like opening the frunk, opening and closing the trunk, and a lot more. Overall, a pretty sweet addition and welcome function of the new action button that I will be using a lot.
Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Ted B. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. We got a new Tesla stock note from Morgan Stanley, not necessarily analysis, really just hypothesizing out loud. I won't read it, so pause if you'd like, but essentially he's getting at the heart of over time, blurring the lines between your car and your mobile device. And as you throw in numerous media reports about OpenAI possibly developing a consumer device specifically for AI. Then Adam said, what if your phone could tap into your vehicle's compute power and battery supply to run AI applications? And keep this last one in mind because you'll hear it again later. Do Elon's plans to turn X into an everything app require development of hardware outside the car? From Renew Economy, the biggest battery storage project in New South Wales is now up and running. Even better, it's a 300 megawatt hour Tesla system. The new battery will provide grid stabilization services using Tesla's advanced grid forming inverter technology, which can operate in a virtual synchronous generator mode. That helps to mimic the fossil fuel generators, and this is the second big battery in New South Wales to be commissioned. For context, the largest battery in Australia to date is Neoen's 450 megawatt hour Victoria big battery. And yes, for that one, Neoen is indeed working together with Tesla. This one's pretty exciting too. We have an energized semi-truck charging hub in Ohio. This site is the largest constructed or publicly announced truck charging site in the country when it comes to available charging capacity. The facility has fully functional capacity at medium and low voltages and is able to charge 90 trucks concurrently based on typical 300 kilowatt charge rates. This is the first hub of its kind, and the company said it built it using its own capital and without government subsidies or grants. It has received no utility incentives for the site. But as you would expect, now that they have a pilot and a blueprint to show the capital markets, we'll see how long that narrative lasts. This one energy company is planning to go public via a SPAC. That's a pretty cool little hub and perhaps some foreshadowing of the future of EV truck charging. Zach has teamed up with Troy Teslike to put together some data and some charts, but the simple takeaway, Tesla cumulatively has now sold more than 2 million Model Ys globally. Have a look at the visual difference in the ramp. Here you're looking at the Model Y cumulative sales compared to the Model 3. Model Y, Model 3. The Model Y is at 2.16 million sales since its birth, whereas the Model 3 sits at 2.2 million sales. So yes, in the weeks and months ahead, the Model Y will surpass the Model 3, which would make it the best-selling electric vehicle of all time. With the Model Y launching around March 2020, it took them about 3.5 years to cross the 2 million mark. The next milestone for the Model Y to become the best-selling car of any kind in the world for 2023. We'll see. We got an exclusive report from The Information. I think we could have guessed that something like this was going to happen, but it's still always great to hear it when it becomes official. In Austin, there's a new bunker-like structure under construction. When it's completed, the building will house part of a new supercomputer known as Dojo. And we know Tesla could use Dojo to sell cloud services to other companies like Amazon does with AWS, Amazon Web Services. I think it's worth pointing out Amazon's revenue from AWS alone was $22.1 billion in Q2. But it gets better. Of Amazon's $7.7 billion in operating profit, 70% of it came from Amazon Web Services, which led the cloud infrastructure market with 40% share in 2022. Translation: Amazon Web Services generated $5.4 billion in operating income. Listen, there's no guarantees Tesla ever actually goes that route with Dojo. Maybe they just use it for in-house training for a long time. However, piecing things together, Elon has told us they plan to invest well over $1 billion in developing Dojo by the end of next year. Tesla's Dojo supercomputer is already up and running in Palo Alto, and this whole situation reduces Tesla's dependence on NVIDIA. Tesla recently began detailed planning in Austin to build its next-gen assembly line, codenamed NV9X, on which it plans to make both the robotaxi and the entry-level Tesla. And in case you have forgotten, Elon has said Dojo has the potential to become a sellable service that we would offer to other companies the same way AWS does web services, even though they started out as a bookstore. So I really think that yes, the Dojo potential is very significant. I'm not an AWS expert, but where Tesla's Dojo supercomputer may have an edge if they play their cards right and over time is being specifically built for video training. So other companies that take the smart route and just start doing the Tesla blueprint, because you have to start somewhere, could expedite that process by using Tesla's Dojo if Tesla decides to offer that service in the future. We've talked at length in the past on the benefits of Dojo, like training the company's FSD workloads. Previously could take a month, now it'll only take a week. And Tesla has mentioned it has plans to use its Palo Alto data center to house 7 exapods. And a year from now, Tesla plans to be housing 100 exapods, which presumably won't all fit in Palo Alto, hence this new bunker in Austin. Back to the beginning, Adam Jonas alluding to Elon's other companies X and AI and computing and all of that. Well, companies like X and SpaceX could end up buying these services from Dojo in the future because Tesla is not trying to keep this to themselves, whether specifically it's FSD or Dojo as a web service. I'm not trying to argue I think Tesla stock should be getting some huge valuation for this opportunity right now. However, I also don't think it should be written off completely like it is right now. The V4 rollout in the USA might be picking up a little bit of steam, as now we have Tesla Owners Club of Alabama sharing this picture, Prattville V4. This picture was also posted on Reddit. This was from Sparks, Nevada for that new V4 station. I'm sure you're seeing the same thing. Payment screens. My best guess as to why Tesla would be rolling out payment screens on V4, one, it's going to keep manufacturing simple, but more importantly, it's actually still a funding requirement in certain states to get that federal funding for charging locations. The word on the street is this V4 location in Sparks, Nevada is a retrofit of a version 3 station, so they may not be upgrading the cabinets just yet, and that's really what we need a picture of at this point. But not sure any V4 cabinets are in the wild yet. In yesterday's video, I asked the question, I'm wondering if these will have Magic Dock. Well, today we get our answer, maybe. We have this picture from the Sparks, Nevada location. You can see NACS with MD Magic Dock. I believe the Nevada location is a retrofit of V3, but I believe the other V4 locations in Alabama and Oregon are going to be new installations. And what do we have here on X? Omar posted a video, Tesla doing some advertising in Japan. This is in an airport, and there are QR codes right on the wall. Now, I will say this probably will not appease the Tesla needs to advertise crowd, but it's not nothing either. We've already refuted it multiple times, but now we have Tesla also opening up publicly, refuting all of those FUD claims about Giga Berlin and workplace safety. Shouldn't be a surprise, but Tesla said protecting workers' health was a top priority. In a written statement, Tesla said workers received training on necessary safety measures as well as protective clothing. The plant was subject to regular checks by local authorities that safety measures were being respected. Reuters spoke to 12 workers at the factory yesterday. 4 said they were satisfied with working conditions. 8 said pressure for speed was too high. with some reporting high incidence of accidents and issues with receiving overtime pay. I'm not suggesting this is the case, but there is a world where Reuters could have gone and found 8 people of the 1,000 or so that are reportedly now looking to unionize with IG Metall. Either way, Brandenburg's Authority on Occupational Safety told Reuters it only held records of serious accidents at work, resulting in over 6 weeks of inpatient treatment or permanent physical damage, of which there had been 6 at the Tesla plant in 2021 and 2022. Even they're saying, though, they conducted weekly safety checks at the plant during the construction phase and now visited fortnightly with unannounced checks every 6 to 8 weeks. Just a little comedy for your day. Jefferies updated their Tesla stock price target saying, "We continue to think everything Tesla does differently from the rest of the industry can also be done by others if given time, making speed essential to maintain an edge. The latter seems to have been eroding from product features." I'd have one question for the analyst, who I believe is Philippe Houchois. I would just ask how much time, because we've already given them a decade plus and it still hasn't happened.
Are they the big winner because the union is striking Ford, GM, and Stellantis? So does Tesla win this one?
Stuart, Tesla won before the strike, during the strike, and they're going to win after the strike. And here's why. Tesla's running at $45 an hour. UAW rates are at $66 an hour. They're asking for $132 an hour. That's a difference in labor costs that's so huge that they're never going to be able to catch up. And when you move into this EV transition, you get the vertically integrated market. Tesla's in automation already and already put most of their jobs in automation, and their factories are at least 20 years ahead of the UAWs and the big three.
That gentleman with the astute observation is Ray Wang, principal analyst and founder of Constellation Research. I won't read it to you, but go ahead and pause if you'd like to read a bit more about Ray's background. Of course, you can debate if Tesla really is 20 years ahead of legacy auto when it comes to manufacturing. I think certain techniques and certain things, perhaps. More importantly, though, the main takeaway, Tesla is a manufacturing juggernaut with a massive lead on legacy auto that is not going to go away overnight. Just a quick public service announcement. We talk about federal EV incentives often on the channel. I don't break it down by state for obvious reasons. People are scattered, but here's a quick list, and just don't forget to check your local incentives as well. And yes, that goes for others as well, including you Canadians. A few weeks back, we talked about Tesla's official developer program. Just wanted to pass along, Tesla Scope has submitted their request to become officially recognized. They've done some great due diligence over the years. I believe they have some sources plugged in at Tesla as well, and as always, it'll be good to see this program from Tesla continue to grow. Roland shared Tesla China's insurance registration data for the week, coming in at 1,000. Plugging that data in, comparing it to the first week of Q3, that number was 3,200. I have not been able to find reliable data for last week, but once I do, I will put it in. So we're off to a slower start for Q4, but we should still be expecting lingering effects from the Model 3 Highland upgrades for the next few weeks. And I know the ability to customize your features that you can control with the wheel on the Tesla steering wheel has been out now since I believe April. But don't forget, all of the FSD beta testers, at least many of them, have been lagging some of these features, so this is still new to a group of folks. It's these little features that over time, when added up, make all of the difference in the world from a customer satisfaction standpoint. Today, we got the updated full range pricing for the Kia EV9, and I'll just say it, I'd like my parents to get this vehicle. They want and need a vehicle bigger than the Model Y, and I think this could be an awesome option. When deliveries of the Kia EV9 kick off late this year, there will be 5 variants available. We've talked about this car coming with an 800 volt architecture, and battery pack size options will be 76 all the way up to 99.8. On the top of the range, the highest mileage is 300 miles. And with each step up the price chain, you get certain features like captain's chairs, heated seats, heated steering wheels, and the like. The cheapest all-wheel drive variant will start at $65,300, and will come standard with a heated steering wheel and a heat pump. Depending on which trim level you pick, the higher up you go, the more driver assistance technology you will get. At the top of the range, you'll find the EV9 GT line, which is an all-wheel drive performance-oriented version starting at $75.3 thousand. It comes with a host of features like smart parking assist and more luxurious materials and unique trim elements. The sales of the EV9 are set to begin later in 2023. Now, yes, I'd need to spend a weekend with this vehicle before comfortably recommending it to anybody else, but I just want to say I think it has a lot of potential. A 3-row SUV is something the US market really needs. Electric, of course. A big vehicle priced between $55,000 and $75,000 that can tow up to 5,000 pounds that I think looks really sharp, that will have access to Tesla's supercharger network and might eventually become eligible for IRA credits in 2024 if they start making it in the US, which they've said is in the plans. And Hyundai is the parent company of Kia, so although they operate independently, you know there is technology being shared, and Hyundai has shown that they kind of know what they're doing when it comes to EVs. At least more than most others. Unifor started to strike up in Canada against GM, but a few hours into the strike and a tentative deal has been reached. The union said the tentative agreement follows the pattern agreement Unifor reached with Ford last month and includes wage hikes up to 25%. The strike had threatened GM's most profitable full-size truck production if it had continued. GM agreed to other things like pensions, retiree income support, and converting full-time temporary workers into permanent employees over the life of the agreement. Back to the States and the GM situation with the UAW, Deutsche Bank now estimating GM has lost 34.1 thousand vehicles of production since the strikes began September 15th. It's not often I'm at a loss for words, but we have Faraday Future announcing that Chris Brown will become the next FF91 owner and developer co-creation officer. I will say I grew up loving Chris Brown and still listen to him from time to time. I have no idea how much co-developing Chris Brown will really do or has done with this design, but from a styling perspective, it's not my favorite. Most likely just more of a marketing ploy than anything else, but also a reminder that Faraday Future is out here shooting its shot. We just talked about the Cadillac Lyriq making its re-entry into some European countries, and now we have Cadillac set to re-enter the Australian market, which I believe has not happened since 1969. Cadillac is gearing up to sell electric cars through boutique showrooms in Australian shopping centers. GM is expected to announce Cadillac's return to the Australian market later this year, although an on-sale date for its range has not been confirmed. The word is, though, Cadillac will be producing right-hand drive vehicles for Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and the UK. Joe Tetmeyer shared this image from Giga Texas the other day of a massive delivery. No one seems to know what it is for sure. Of course, the obvious guess is something to do with Gigapress, but they are labeled with 105,000 kilograms, which is over 231,000 pounds. According to the Department of Energy, around 4,000 public charging stations were out of service as of October 5th. That's an outage rate of more than 6%. Even worse, the DOE expects the actual unconnected number of charge points to be higher because some just aren't reported. There are many things leading to this situation, but one that the companies are complaining about: the increased demand for technicians both to install the chargers and to keep them operating. Electricians, training companies, and installation providers all say the ambitious charging goals will make that labor shortage even more acute. Finding a high-level electrician called a journeyman, especially when trained on EV chargers, is a significant challenge. You know, we always talk about the talent that's already at Tesla, specifically in fields where there isn't some overwhelming supply of very specialized talent. Whether it's working with EV chargers, whether it's custom designing in-house semiconductors, whether it's video training, machine learning experts, the list goes on and on. So be sure to let the next generation in your circle know that if they want some job stability, this could be something to look into, as the US will need at least 142,000 more certified electricians by 2030 to support the country's electrification push. There's a new bill under consideration in Michigan that would block HOAs from blocking things like rooftop solar and home EV charging, because currently a homeowners association can prohibit a homeowner from installing energy improvement equipment like solar panels and EV chargers, even if the local government allows for them. So updating some of these outdated HOA bylaws is a trend to watch across the country. I'd love to see Mercedes break out its electric vehicle profitability, but I doubt we'll get that anytime soon. Either way, as Sawyer shared, you can see their Q3 EV sales numbers for the US market alone. While the total 10.4 thousand isn't anything to write home about, it is 14.7% of their total volume in the United States. Quick channel update, there will be no video from me this Thursday or Friday. My wife and I are going on somewhat of a cross-country road trip, so starting next week, I'll be in a new location. It'll just be temporary and more on that to come, but as you can imagine, it means we have a ton of things going on behind the scenes right now this week, and I do want to spend some time with my family before we leave for a while. So no video from me this Thursday or Friday. And I'll send you guys off today with a few new clips from the latest RJ Scaringe interview. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video. If you did, you can find me on X, linked below. And a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.
It's an amazing platform that allows the operator, in this case Amazon, to be much more efficient. And to be able to develop that tool set or that platform with really active, and I mean really active feedback from our friends at Amazon was outstanding, because it allowed us to get it robust and get it to a point where, of course, we want to sell this to lots of other enterprises, as you said. So we're excited about the enterprise space. It's certainly not as big of a market as the consumer space, but it's a very different market in that we see it as quickly going to software as a service platforms, where you have these types of things like FleetOS. We think the consumer will still represent a larger slice. We've typically think of it as about 80% of our business will be consumer. But the commercial space, to also point out, it's an opportunity to have huge impact. So one commercial van being replaced with one of ours, the vehicles are on there all day, they're no longer idling. So when you think of it from a carbon point of view, it's like has a 10x multiplier. So one van is worth 10 consumer vehicles. And then as we think broadly and long-term about what we're building in our self-driving platform, we've taken the approach, and what we'll be introducing in future variants is a very thoughtfully laid out set of sensors that drives a perception stack that drives very early fusion and then allows us to upgrade sensors while maintaining the platform over time, because we see a lot of progress happening in the sensor space. We see cameras getting better, we see radars getting cheaper and better, we see new sensing modalities coming into the space, but being able to create an early fusion process whereby that feeds an ever-improving compute stack is really powerful. And it's hard to fully appreciate just how much that's going to evolve over the next 5 years. There's been all sorts of incorrect postulation around what that deal looks like.
Clear it up.
It's very simple. We agreed to use a connector, and as part of that, we also agreed to have access to the network. But there's not data exchange or anything like that. It's access to a network and access to what has become now an open charging standard, which is the NACS adapter design. If you were to do a carbon analysis on this and do it honestly, an electric vehicle is significantly more efficient from a carbon point of view and an energy point of view than a combustion vehicle. And even with today's grid, and the reason I point out that last point is what's really cool about an electric vehicle is you buy an electric vehicle today and it's 4 or 5 times, depending on the vehicle type, more efficient in terms of energy and in terms of carbon than its gas comparison. But it gets better over time because the grid keeps getting cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. So 10 years from now, it'll be even cleaner. 20 years from now, it'll be even cleaner. And so what we have to be really thoughtful of as a society is this is a transitional moment. I really wish we could pull a lever and immediately be perfect carbon neutral car companies, supply chains, energy grid infrastructure, but it's not possible. There's 8,500 coal power plants in the world, all of which, hopefully in my lifetime, get turned off. But we're talking trillions of dollars of embedded investment that needs to be turned off. So this is a long lever we're going to have to pull to transition. But I really do hope it's a lever that gets pulled over the course of my life.
Ditto, RJ.